All right, so this is the start of your self development journey. I mentioned it a little bit in the last video when I started talking about books. Basically, after reading finance books and developing myself financially, at least mentally, because I don't have money, I decided to go on the next step, which would be the development, the self-development journey, mainly inspired by guys like these.
Your school.
Oh, come on. Oh, wait. We should probably do it like this, yeah. Welcome to the presentation.
Your schools and your teachers are failing you. Schools were originally created to make religious advisors for kings. Then they evolved to churn out factory workers. You know the bells that signal the beginning and end of class? In the 1800s, factories used bells to tell workers when to start their shifts because no one knew how to tell time. That is how outdated your school is.
Now, I don't think it's that severe because, I mean, we still learn to read and write, and I think that's pretty important. So, I mean, as we continue, again, this is a new book, The Effective Executive. I read this after I read all my finance books, and it really kickstarted a self-development journey. This book's pretty good. It was written for like executives within like American companies, so that they could learn how to delegate others. But what the book teaches you is how to effectively delegate yourself and be the be the effective executive, be effective in everything you do with yourself so that you can properly help other people. When you type in self-development, you get like the improvement pill and practical psychology, which, I mean, I'm sure they're good videos and I've probably watched them before. I honestly don't remember them. Kind of like the same with these YouTube channels. Both are really good. After School does some cool illustrations. They do like Joe Rogan podcast illustrations that are pretty cool. Like they draw pictures for the concepts that are being talked about. And Fight Mediocrity actually, so like after I read The Effective Executive, rather than buying every book that like I wanted to read, like a lot of times I'll just look it up on this page because he does illustrations for books like these, like self-development books. And yeah, I would guess just the summary of all the books, but I mean it was better than nothing, and it was free off of YouTube. But as a whole, these hold on, I need a drink of water. These self-development ideas that are talked about mainly get summed up into habits, routines, and mindsets, and like that leads you into skill development after you realize the certain skills you need to build up for yourself, and then after that leads into like financial diet, where you're just going to have to learn money, because it just like it all, it's the start of the chain for self-development are these habits, routines, and mindsets, and then once you have them, you're pretty much good. Like it, as soon as you understand that idea, you know, like, yeah, as long as you understand those ideas, you can get out of the self-development trap. Which I didn't mention the top video, of course, that came up, because it's honestly just clickbait, but he is truthful in the video. I wouldn't say it's ruining your life unless you get to like his addiction level, I guess, because Better Ideas is a channel about self-improvement. So I don't know if he just wrote that for himself or if it, but anyway, he describes endless improvement to be destructive because you end up thinking that you can improve yourself into perfection. And like he explains, his main point was like people skills. Like if you read and study the skill, it's not going to be a replacement for actually like in the field talking to people. That like nothing can prepare you for that, or any other of your goals. You know, like if you want to cure cancer and you read about all the cells like cancer but never study cancer itself, like, you know, because you're trying to motivate yourself to learn about cancer, you get in love with the idea rather than actually doing it. And that's where you can fall into the self-development trap, where you can start beating around the bush and like saying, oh, I'm learning about self-development because I watch all these YouTube videos all day, I read all these books, but it just doesn't get you anywhere. You really only need the key subjects. Come on. So this is where the self-development track leads into self-education. You can only self-develop to a point, and then all of a sudden you just like need to start doing. And if that doing leads you into needing more knowledge, like if you want to go into music and you know nothing about music, so then you have to go into self-education, because now you're going to have to learn about music. I mean, there is the doing part still, but there's also learning to be had. So you kind of have to reimagine how you study. You're not studying for school now, you're studying to acquire skills. So tools I use are like YouTube channels and mainly just music as a whole. You can look up lo-fi music, that's pretty popular. This Spotify playlist, it's lo-fi music, and it's just like a beat that plays, and I'll do this when I'm studying so that it's just kind of white noise so I can get my things done. There's YouTube channels, there's like this coffee shop, and then there's like it's like relaxed study music or something, and like these will pop up. They got chat rooms that people like to talk in, and I have a TV, so I'll just put it on the TV because it's a smart TV, so it'll play YouTube, and then I'll play it on the TV so that it's a speaker for the house. And the other big thing with studying is the environment. Like the only two things that matter are your focus. So like YouTube and music would help you in that focus area. The other part to focusing, but is also very important to studying itself, you need to be in a proper environment. I symbolize this with a doorway, that you need to be going into the room with a particular mindset, like, hey, I'm going to study. And like you can change, like you can keep different environments in the same room so long as the environment allows it. Like if you have a couch and a bed in the room, that implies that you're sleeping and on the couch at the same time. But like if you can like associate two separate things, like, oh, I do my work on the couch or I watch TV on the couch, hopefully it wouldn't integrate to where you just end up sleeping in the whole room, because eventually one action will remain dominant, and usually that ends up being sleeping, because sleeping is like one of the easiest things to do. So that's why it's important not to study in your bed, because you're already trying to associate it with sleep, and then you start associating it with studying, and then you say, oh, I can't sleep at night anymore. Well, that's because you're studying where you need to be sleeping. So I would recommend going to a library or just a different room in your house. Like make sure like it's a nice room, or a desk in the house somewhere, you know. Environment and music is very important to studying, and I haven't had problems with just these two fixes. I haven't had a problem. And then the danger with lo-fi, this girl's legit relaxing, so it's not setting up a good environment when you see this image as you're studying. Like, the reason I like the video of the girl doing the homework is because she's doing the homework the entire time, like it's just on a loop. And every time you look up for any particular reason, you're going to see her working, and then you're just going to go back to working. Obviously, we live in the 21st century, so we're going to use the internet to learn. Wikipedia is a trusted source. Google, as long as you click on... just don't click on the first two answers. You can click on them, but like also click on other ones. Don't only use the first one. There are apps, YouTube videos, and books that you can use. Particular apps I like: Masterclass. You can buy like a subscription, and then they just keep adding courses from like famous people, like Neil deGrasse Tyson did like a space one. You can learn about space from him, or astrophysics, whatever he's teaching. Coursera offers an information technology program right now and it's like an IT specialist role. And Google claims that they're going to make it as prestigious as a four-year college degree, which is insane. This is out of like an app. Also, there's TikTok. Surprisingly, is making a movement. It's like hashtag learn on TikTok or something. And then that flooded the app with a bunch of people that are trying to like sell courses and stuff. So it's kind of iffy, because like the advice is like it's there, but it's kind of like...
I'm going to show you a gig on Fiverr that people are making $1,000 an hour doing, and then I'm going to prove it to you. So the gig is called voiceover, and these are people that do voiceovers for podcasts and videos and anything like that. And you can see there's tons of them, and there's tons of orders, 182, 280.
See here, it's like, this is a good video, but he's saying to do voiceovers, which could be misleading, I guess. But I mean, I appreciate the idea of looking on Fiverr. Fiverr is a great tool.
Just a quick reminder that we want to have a
this
really
lady
exaggerated
she goes in depth. Oh, whoops.
sound, so that you can really access these nose and cheeks, so we can really resonate in this hallway that connects the top and the bottom.
Yeah, like, look at all this that she's doing with the sinuses. That's insane. And then we got the man himself.
See your replies. Put it down here.
What is he saying?
For me, I don't think so. Knowing that I'm going to die compels me to get stuff done. When? Today.
Oh, look at that. Wonderful advice. So, books. Obviously, I recommend the book earlier. I was on YouTube and I came across this book, and like, I just wanted to use this as an example of like, so I bought the book on Amazon, and then I became frustrated because I really wanted to read the book. So I just kind of bought the PDF like moments after and read the whole book before the physical book came in on Amazon. And it's like 600 pages. But yeah, like it was not that hard of a read, I guess. No, actually it was really hard to read. It was a lot. But that's just put your mind to it. Reading is really easy. You get disgusted at reading.
I'm going to show you a gig on Fiverr.
Have a really exaggerated, hyper-nasally sound, so that you can...
Okay. That was a lot. So, yes. Great book. You can read. Reading, you could be disgusted all you want, but as soon as you get over it, you'll realize, like, you don't have to read any of these books. You can read any book you want to start out. I just recommend self-development because it's a good way to improve yourself. It's cool. This is an after-school video again that I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to have these replay again. See, these are the illustrations they make, and they talk about like the topics on the screen and everything. They're good videos. So now that you know how to study, how to utilize the internet, we can transition from self-development to self-education, and now to choosing a discipline. Now, normally, the word discipline here is taken out of context, and it's just thrown in with the idea of a career. Or you need to think of both of these ideas as an area of study or practice, and of course it'll lead to your value to society, or the person asking you. I have in parentheses themselves. So this comes to the question if your discipline defines your value. And I think it's kind of split up, because you have your family that basically takes over that society role, and your family really just wants you to make money today. And the problem is you should not have this in the equation whatsoever when looking at a discipline. You can get lucky and become a doctor. I clicked that too early, but oh well. And say you're really into medicine and you really want to help people, and then you become a doctor. You're just lucky to have double dipped into a field that has a lot of money in it. But say you're Picasso, you're the greatest artist in the world. Society and your family is going to tell you no, that's a horrible idea. But sometimes you have to branch off over there and study the discipline for yourself, But arguably, if you double dip where both of those, or your discipline lines up with your goals and society's goals, that's where you really win. So that's where I put it could be anything you want. So when you're younger, or at any age, really, so long as you have money, because the reason it's scary later on is because you have more responsibilities. So if you try to quit your job to start a company, if the company fails, it's even more scary, because that's years of your life of working that you're risking. Whereas when you're younger, you have no responsibilities. So if you fail, it's whatever, I didn't have anything to begin with. So when you're choosing a discipline, you need to keep an open mind and choose anything you want, so that if you come across a chance to double dip in the skill that you choose, where society will be happy with it because it'll bring value to them, but then it'll also bring value to yourself. And you are the only limiting factor in this process. Self-improvement, self-education, discipline, whether it comes in the form of a martial art or in the art of swimming. Some people never grow up learning how to swim, You could do it. The idea of having a life's purpose also gets thrown in with discipline. But kind of earlier when we were just defining discipline itself, does it define your value? The value is split up between your personal values and society's values. So purpose can't be defined as discipline. It actually has to do with your responsibility in any given moment. The amount of responsibility you have in your life will fulfill you and give you purpose. Your discipline is just kind of an add-on. It's a plus. It's okay, it's the branches of knowledge that you can utilize. If you grew up with a family of carpenters, and then you square off against another kid who's never picked up anything, any type of wood object, or like tried to craft anything, arts and crafts, nothing, you're going to have a way easier time building things out of wood than the other kid. So that's where like the idea of your duty is a responsibility. So like your purpose would be to build a wooden chair as a craftsman. That would be your purpose, your duty. And then your discipline would be like, all right, do I have the discipline to craft the wood chair? Do I have the means to do it? No? Okay, well, we're going to back up and we're going to get some self-knowledge about self-education. We're going to learn how to craft the wood chair before we come back to discipline to build the wood chair. And so, discipline, knowledge, your purpose is the responsibility that you face.